Welcome back to Healthy Homemade Baby. Thanks for joining me here at Healthy Homemade Baby, where we turn simple foods into healthy homemade baby food. Vegetable purees are a staple in baby's stage 1 diet. Yes, you can buy purees at the store, but if you want more say in the ingredients and freshness of your baby's food, or maybe you need some baby food in a pinch, then stay tuned. Coming up are your 4 simple steps for making acorn squash vegetable puree. It's Steph here at Healthy Homemade Baby, where we turn simple foods into healthy homemade baby food. Acorn squash is simple to prepare and makes the list of healthy purees for your baby during stage 1 feeding. So what is acorn squash? Well, acorn squash gets its name from its shape, which resembles an acorn. It's classified as a winter squash and is native to North and Central America. Acorn squash is easily recognized by its distinctive longitudinal ridges, green color, and sweet yellow-orange flesh. Acorn squash are a source of vitamin C, fiber, and potassium, and, fun fact, you can eat more of the acorn squash plant than just that nutty orange flesh. What other parts of acorn squash can be consumed? Pause the video right now and leave a comment in the comment section below. Let's get into the 4 simple steps for making healthy homemade acorn squash puree. Number 1, wash. Whatever the source of your veggies, whether organic or non-organic, washing the outer skin is prudent. Get your fingers into the grooves to ensure all surfaces are clean. And you may be thinking, Steph, are you drying that thing? Yep, I am drying my acorn squash. I don't know about you, but I find acorn squash particularly tricky to cut. They're hard, thick, and those ridges make conscientious knife positioning a must. Number 2, slice. Yep, acorn squash can definitely be a tricky one to cut into. I like to cut off the top and bottom of the squash so it rests solidly on the counter, which also happens to reveal the beautiful contrast of yellowy orange flesh outlined by the dark skin. I find it easiest to make the next cut straight down the middle, exposing the center pulp and seeds. Scoop out those seeds and stringy bits with a spoon, and here comes the answer to our trivia question. What other parts of the acorn squash can you consume? The seeds. Obviously not recommended for baby, but they are especially tasty for you when roasted and seasoned. Peeling the skin off acorn squash is also tricky. It is tricky to get between those grooves. To get around this, I like to position my knife inside each groove and cut the squash into finger-like sections. Peeling these individual sections is much easier, but careful, they can slide out of your grip. And there is even one more edible part of the squash plant, the flowers. Yeah, those yellow trumpet flowers that grow on the squash vine are, reportedly, edible. Next, slice each finger into roughly 1-inch cubes, trying to keep the pieces as uniform as possible for even cooking. Bear in mind that larger pieces will take longer to steam and smaller pieces will take shorter time to steam all the way through. Number 3, steam. My pot has a steamer insert, but if yours doesn't, steamer baskets are pretty easy to find at your local store. Set your pot on the stove and fill with 1 inch or 2 of water. You don't need much. The more water you use, the longer it'll take to bring it to a boil. Fill the steamer insert with your chunks of squash and bring your water up to a gentle boil. Once my water is boiling, I like to reduce the heat to produce as gentle of a simmer as I can get, because our goal is to cook the squash as gently as possible to preserve its nutrients. Steaming is a great way to cook veggies for baby. Steaming softens your fruits and veggies enough to puree and minimizes the loss of those precious nutrients we're trying to preserve. Check your squash every few minutes, stirring the chunks to encourage even cooking. Your acorn squash is ready when it offers very little resistance to a gentle fork. Number 4, puree. And before we get into the most satisfying part, please consider subscribing to Healthy Homemade Baby for more videos on how to prepare your own healthy homemade baby food. If you like this video, please hit like and turn on notifications on your phone to be automatically notified when Healthy Homemade Baby posts that next baby food video. Transfer your steamed squash to your vessel of choice for the pureeing process. Do be careful as the squash is now hot. I like to give my squash a few introductory pulses before adding a splash of that now nutritious water we used for steaming, again using caution as this is going to be very hot. The consistency of your puree can vary depending on the maturity of your baby. I'm making stage 1 baby food, so I'm going for a fairly smooth puree here. Ah, beautiful, nutritious acorn squash puree, ready to be cooled and consumed or portioned into a freezer-safe container for storage. I usually leave my purees in the freezer overnight, leaving them satisfyingly solid and ready to be transferred to my glass jars for storage. Take a few portions out of the freezer to defrost and mix with a delicious fat to complete this nutritious and delicious acorn squash puree for your baby. Thank you so much for joining me today at Healthy Homemade Baby. Making homemade baby food does not have to be scary, daunting, or out of reach. With some preparation and a little bit of practice, you too can be on your way to creating your own healthy homemade baby food. Leave me a comment below if you try making your own acorn squash puree. Let me know how it goes. And follow Healthy Homemade Baby for more baby food videos.